Okay, welcome back, everybody. Okay, well, this is the one that everyone's definitely been waiting for. We've seen the numbers of people dialing in, climbing rapidly in the last 15 minutes as we prepare for the Proto Throttle presentation, and we've got the Proto Throttle team here. One of the most exciting things to happen in the hobby in the last few years. But before we come on to the Proto Throttle and where the Proto Throttle came from, at about this time 2 weeks ago, I challenged the NMRAX team to design and come up with and print a 3D printed throttle port, our throttle pocket, and let's just see how this looks. There we go. I feel like there should be some great music. Look at that, what a prototype. So there's the prototype. Well done, Speed. Oh, look at that. That is awesome. So Speed, give us an update on the prototype.
There it is. It's any of the regular NCE, Digitrax kind of throttles. But we got a problem. Gordy?
We have a problem?
We've got a problem.
What's the problem?
I think
just like, I know we've got a problem I got to come on to, but what's the problem with the 3D print? Why is it not available yet?
Oh, it's just a little thick, a little heavy. We need to refine it a bit, and then we can go.
Cool. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll be ready to stick that up somewhere, I guess.
Yes.
For people to have a go themselves. But we do have a major problem. Proto Throttle team, we need your help with this problem. Our throttle pocket, just hold that back up, Speed, has a problem. It doesn't fit a Proto Throttle. So what we need you to do is we need you to send a sample Proto Throttle to Speed in the Helix so that we can get the right size and we can make a Proto Throttle holder for people to download for free from Thingiverse and print on their 3D printers with the NMRAX logo on. So that's your challenge, okay?
Okay, so here we go.
All right, over to Speed, let's go.
Instead of reading their biographies, that's each 20 pages long, I put a quest out to the audience. These three guys here, two of them are N-scalers. Two of them modeled the Iowa Interstate Railroad. Two of them founded Iowa Scaled Engineering. And two of them didn't think they would sell more than 6 of this throttle you're about to see. Scott, over to you.
Oh, you want me to answer that? Or
No, the audience needs to.
Oh, okay.
We have Scott, Nathan, and Michael.
Yes, I'm Scott.
And Nathan, raise hand.
Hey, I'm Nathan.
And Michael.
Yeah.
And Michael.
Yes. We're the Proto Throttle team. Developers, whatever you want to call us. But we're glad to be here. Do you want us to introduce ourselves?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to let you introduce yourselves rather than us telling you about you.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Well, my name's Scott Thornton, and I am a freelance graphic designer. I live in Iowa, and I was, I guess you'd call the brainchild of the Proto Throttle, although Michael and Nathan are the real brains of the operation. They're the engineers, so I don't think you want a graphic designer trying to design electronic componentry, but I'm attuned to the aesthetics, so that was part of my responsibility, and I talk about that in the upcoming video. And I'm one of the ones who, well, I'm different from Michael and Nathan, that I model in HO because I'm getting old. I'm not young like them, and I can't see all the details anymore. And I'm one who models the Iowa Interstate, one of two here, but we all like the Iowa Interstate. So that's me.
So I guess I'll go next. I'm Nathan Holmes. I'm one of those co-founders of Iowa Scaled Engineering, and but I actually live and work in Colorado Springs now, out in Colorado. And you're probably thinking, well, why is it called Iowa Scaled Engineering? Well, 25-ish years ago now, I was at a lab at Iowa State University, and in walks this guy who has I think it was a Burlington Northern shirt on. Either that or it was Iowa State. And I kind of glance at him twice, and it's like, this is the only other rail fan I've ever met that's roughly my age. And here we are 25 years later. So I am not an Iowa Interstate modeler, on the other hand. I model a proto freelance version of the Copper River in Northwestern, which was an isolated ore hauler in Alaska in the modern day era. So that makes me a little different from the other two.
I'm Michael Peterson. I live in a little town called Elbert, Colorado, just between Colorado Springs and Denver. Electrical engineer by day, also obviously co-founder of Iowa Scaled Engineering. I do have plans to model the Iowa Interstate through my hometown of Altoona, Iowa, though.
That's the team.
So Gordy, take the video away.
Welcome, everyone. This is Scott Thornton, one of the partners in the development and promotion of the Proto Throttle, which is a miniature handheld wireless diesel control stand throttle. The other two partners in the development of the throttle are Michael Peterson and Nathan Holmes of Iowa Scaled Engineering. Michael and Nathan are electrical engineers who reside in Colorado, while I'm a freelance graphic designer living in Iowa. Many people have asked why the throttle is marketed through a company called Iowa Scaled Engineering when two of its primary principals live in Colorado. That's easy to explain, as all three of us are natives to the great state of Iowa, and we all attended Iowa State University, but jobs led both Michael and Nathan to Colorado. In this session, I'd like to give you a short history of what inspired us to pursue the development, explain the features of the throttle, and provide a short demo of the throttle in action. We'll have a question and answer time after this presentation, so please feel free to ask anything you'd like because we would be more than happy to answer. So let's start. One might ask, why develop a control stand throttle as there are plenty of wonderful options available for precise control of our model locomotives? That's a fair question because indeed, there are many great throttles and DCC systems available which do a fantastic job. Here we see several brands of throttles currently on the market. From left to right, Digitrax, TCS, ESU, NCE, and even a mobile phone running a train driver app, to name a few. They are all more than capable of giving the operator a comfortable and fun-filled experience operating their trains. But there is one major issue with each of these devices. They don't emulate the prototype. Here we see a typical prototype EMD control stand. It includes a variety of interesting and unique controls specific to a properly functioning diesel locomotive. On the left, we have two brake handles. Unfortunately, only the top handle is shown, which control the train and independent brakes. To the right, we can see a top lever, which is used for dynamic braking. Below that, another handle, which is the throttle. And again, below that, the reverser, or the directional lever for forward, neutral, and reverse. In addition, there are controls for the horn, bell, lights, auxiliary functions, gauges, etc. As you can see, this prototype control stand looks radically different from the control options we have as model railroaders. Now, one could build a control stand to operate their model engines as this ingenious individual did, but there's a lot going on here with operating a full-size control stand. Plus, I think this fellow is somewhat restricted in movement. I had always dreamed of operating my model trains prototypically, but like everyone else, I had no idea how to achieve such a monumental task. That is, until one day a number of years ago, I stumbled upon a YouTube video by a fellow named Bruce Turner. Bruce had taken an NCE throttle and superimposed a Rube Goldberg type diesel control stand over the top of the unit. Wow, there it was, a real-life miniature control stand. His throttle had a spring-loaded horn handle and a fully detented throttle handle to boot. It was just incredible. I about fell off my chair as I watched Bruce's two videos showing him operating his Soundtrix-equipped engines with a true working control stand. Right then, I decided I had to have a throttle like his. I had been bartering with Michael and Nathan for a while. I provided design services to help promote Iowa Scaled Engineering products, and they supplied me with custom electronics. After I saw Bruce's videos, I approached Michael asking if he would help me build a few control stand throttles based on Bruce's design, one for me, and perhaps they would want a couple as well. Michael agreed, and we started to make a list of components and discuss size and other fabrication issues. One unique thing we decided to do early on was blog about the whole experience on the Model Railroad Hobbyist Forum. We thought, why not include other modelers in on the development to both get their ideas and input, but also gauge the interest in case the throttle would become a viable product. As the development continued and we made changes based on our and other modelers' input, I created more refined illustrations of the throttle to show the progress. This all started in early spring of 2016, and by late summer of that year, we had initial printed circuit boards and the first crude machining completed. We decided to take the rough prototype to the St. Louis RPM meet to show prototype modelers what we were developing and see if there was enough interest to start to think in terms of a final product. Needless to say, we had a great response at the RPM, which encouraged us to keep going. Here you can see one of the early printed circuit boards with most of the final components in place. At the same time that Michael and Nathan were refining the electronics and programming, I was working with our machining company to refine the aluminum faceplate and handles. Now things were coming together. Here you can see the final configuration of the faceplate and handles, etc. We are proud of the fact that the Proto Throttle has been designed and fabricated exclusively within North America. This slide shows where the majority of components come from. Here's the throttle face again with each control named. Going clockwise from upper left, we have a large latched auxiliary button. To the right is a status light. Then we have a spring-loaded horn handle. Below those is the main LCD screen with 4 low-profile control push buttons. Below that is a fully detented throttle handle, which includes idle and all 8 notch positions, just like the prototype. Below and to the left is another latch button for the bell. Next to the bell is a fully detented 3-position reverser handle, just like the prototype. Below that is a resistive variable brake handle, where full left is disengaged and to the right is fully applied. Below that are 2 fully independent and robust light switches, which include positions for off, dim, bright, and bright with ditch. And finally, at the bottom is a machined opening for a lanyard attachment. The throttle's faceplate is anodized aluminum to give the look and feel of a real control stand. The Proto Throttle is wireless and uses 2 radio receivers called XBs, one inside the throttle and the second on either of our 2 receivers. Between the 2 receiver models, the throttle can interface with all the major DCC systems on the market. The XB radio modules are the company's Pro version and have a range of roughly 600 feet, more than enough for almost all model railroad applications. In addition, the radio signal has proven to work well on layouts with view blocks and wall separation. Users only need 1 receiver to operate up to 20 throttles. Here is our receiver for direct cab bus applications such as NCE, Lens, and DigiKeys, while our second receiver covers Wi-Fi applications for systems such as JMRI, MRC, Digitrax, and ESU. For proprietary systems such as Digitrax and MRC, users are required to purchase those companies' Wi-Fi modules in order to work with the Proto Throttle. I use the receiver for my NCE power cab system that I use on my layout, and here's a picture showing the receiver connected to the cab bus with the hammerhead throttle in the lower left. Setting up the system is straightforward, but does require users to pay particular attention to the specific steps we outline in our receiver manuals. We are happy to help any customer who runs into a problem. They simply need to contact us via our support email on the website. We also have a very active groups.io forum where active users are more than happy to help solve any setup issues that arise. There are also some very nice YouTube videos that outline the setup steps in detail. I'd like to share a couple of videos with you now. The first one is off of my layout under development, and it shows the Proto Throttle that has a compressed speed curve and is just running up and down the track and operating the lights. So I'll play that video now, and then afterwards I've got a second video from my good friend Tom Klamoski, who has a wonderful layout based on the Georgia Northeastern Railroad in Georgia. And that video shows how the Proto Throttle integrates into an operating session that I think many of you will enjoy seeing. So we'll play these two videos and go from there. Now we'll watch Tom Klamoski's Georgia Northeastern op session, and Tom puts together wonderful videos on his YouTube channel of his layout and how he operates it. And in addition, he also has a really nice personal website that you can access by just going to thomasklamoski.com. So enjoy the video, and afterwards we'll have a Q&A. Thank you so much for watching.
One length. That'll do. Okay.
Ready.
Come back to about 8 car lengths. Check switches anyway. Yeah, actually stop just short of Dairy Queen. Let's throw a switch. Yeah, I gotta get off and throw a switch. You're not expecting me to walk down there, do you?
Of course.
One car.
Easy enough size.
That'll do anyway there. Thank you. That'll do. Pin dropped. Come back 3 car lengths. About 5 cars. Brakes off. Pull it back 4125. 10 cars. About 5 cars. Three cars. One car to a couple. 20 feet. That'll do anywhere near. Okay. Come back about half car. Got a box car load of bricks. Okay, that'll be good. In between 40 and 25. Okay.
What were your thoughts on the Proto Throttle?
Very intuitive once you work with it. Only takes about, 3 or 4 minutes to get used to it in your hand. Controls are intuitive. Works great.
It fit in my hand better than I thought it would. The strap is a little tight on my fingers. Got to adjust the braking effort a little because you got to go way over and then you hit emergency a little too quickly. Mm-hmm. But that, Tom was saying, that's probably something to do with the decoder as well. Other than that, I enjoyed it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Right, hopefully we're back live with the Proto Throttle team. Hope everyone enjoyed that video, and we will not be accepting any warranty for breaking anyone's speakers. You were all warned by Speed. Let me just make sure the desktop audio's on there. Just a second. We have laggy Australia. Okay, cool. All right, I'll hand it over to Speed, who is going to question our team here from Proto Throttle.
So, Bob is not sure if he's too picky or not, but do you have to hold this in your right hand to have the best experience? Anybody? Scott? Nathan?
No, you can hold it in either hand. That's no problem.
Okay. Then what's with the weather look of that throttle?
Oh, that one is my personal throttle that I took the faceplate off, and since I'm on my layout, I run early EMD diesels, and a lot of those during that time frame had seafoam green interiors in the cabs, and so I wanted to simulate a seafoam green beat up interior. So I took it apart and painted it and beat it up and weathered it and sealed it and put it back on. And so you can do that with your Proto Throttle if you want.
I was gonna say, it turned out it was such a hit that Scott made two of them, one weathered seafoam green and one weathered black, that we auctioned off last year with all proceeds going to charity for Lionel's A Modeler's Life podcast. So we raised about, what was it, Michael, about $2,100?
Yeah, I think that was about right.
For cancer. Raised it
For cancer research, or cancer care.
Yep.
Do first generation diesel modelers simply not use the ditch light option?
Yes, and we've had some questions in the past about that, if that slot could be blank. But we took a poll recently through our social media, and we determined that we're going to keep the ditch light engraving on there because the majority of modelers wanted it left, and we're not going to offer options to you can easily paint over it and create a blank space, and modelers can program whatever they want into that slot, into that light slot. For example, they could have a rotary beacon in that slot, or they could have a gyro light. Really, whatever they want to use, they can program in.
Someone just asked, is there an Alco version?
No, there's no Alco version. Sorry. We had to make a choice, and we based it on an EMD control stand, first generation.
So what's the best option for Wi-Fi app and NCE?
I'll let the electrical engineers answer that one.
What was the question again?
So if I have NCE, what would be the best way to get the Proto Throttle working?
Well, NC is a direct connection to the cab bus. So we have, as it showed in the video, we have two receivers. One covers direct connections, and the other one covers Wi-Fi. So NCE is a direct connection. So if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, the question was just what's the best option for Wi-Fi app in NCE? So
I honestly don't know. The few times I've used Wi-Fi with NCE, I just use JMRI to connect to the command station and then connect up to the JMRI computer. Although I know there's a company that's recently come out with a Wi-Fi option that plugs straight into the NCE cab bus. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. Okay, so since we're on the technical side, are these RF or Wi-Fi?
It's RF. It's called an 802.15.4 protocol, which a bunch of numbers there, but it's similar to Wi-Fi, but it's an industrial protocol meant for high noise, reliable transmission. They use them a lot for sensor networks, industrial control, and that was the main reason we chose these radios, because they just simply work in all conditions.
So can these throttles work simultaneously with other throttles? I would assume.
I didn't quite get that. You're breaking up.
Yeah.
Can you have other types of throttles working simultaneously with the Proto Throttle?
Oh yes, absolutely. The Proto Throttle on NC, one receiver consumes one cab bus slot. So you can use all your NCE throttles on all the other cab bus slots. Plus one of our receivers will, in theory, handle 26 throttles. Reality is once you get over about 4 to 6, depending on your operating pattern, you start to get a little lag. Digitrax, we connect to the LNWI or JMRI that's connected to the system. So you can use all your other throttles there as well.
So someone knows about the open source part of this. Maybe you want to explain that, or tell us if the XP Proto Throttle protocol is documented somewhere.
Yeah. Documented might be a bit of a stretch. All of the code for the throttle and the receivers is all open source. It's all published on Iowa Scaled Engineering's GitHub account. If anyone's interested in that, either join the Proto Throttle list on groups.io or send us an email through our website, iascaled.com, and we can get you the details. But yeah, the protocol's all out there, and if you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer it. We've got a couple people already expanding on it.
Since it is battery operated, how long does it last before you need to recharge it or swap the battery?
Michael, you want to take that one?
I only got about half of it. It broke up there. What was the question?
How long does the battery last?
We've had people run multiple hours-long operating sessions on a set of batteries. It's kind of hard to say because it depends on your operating style. If you're moving the controls all the time, it's transmitting all the time, so you may not get as much use out of it. But definitely a 3 to 4 hour operating session should be no problem. Like I said, we've had people do multiple sessions on a set of batteries. It does have a sleep mode, so when you're done with it, you can put it to sleep. And in that state, it should last an hour on the shelf just sitting there. Or not an hour, a year on the shelf just sitting there.
And can you use multiple throttles together in a layout?
Yeah. Yep. Each receiver, like Nathan said before, each receiver can handle technically 26 throttles, but practically probably 5 to 10, again, depending on your operating style. And if you go above that, you can add a second receiver and connect the additional throttles to that.
And do you guys know if you can use this throttle up to do a remote operating session?
Yeah, actually, there's a modeler in Canada, Pete Mulvaney. I think some of you are familiar with him. But yeah, during quarantine, he was doing remote operating sessions where users would have the throttle themselves. They would get video back from Pete's phone placed on the layout. And the throttle, if you use the ESU bridge, which is a bit of a misnomer, it can connect to Y-throttle servers like JMRI. So if you have the technical know-how to open ports in your house firewall and direct them to your JMRI server, you can connect across the internet. And he had people operating from Australia in his layout in Canada. So it does work.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Another great British guy who may live in Canada, and he's also great because he's a bill scaler. Two-wheel as well.
Okay, big question. Where do you buy one of these throttles?
You can buy them through our website, which is iascaled.com. Spring Creek Model Trains also carries them. So you can go either place and purchase them.
And two people ask if these are available in the UK.
Because of some additional testing that's required for both the UK and Europe, and as someone brought up, the UK standards will be changing at the end of the year, so we don't know exactly what those will be yet. We have not been able to offer sales into Europe. There's some additional testing that we would need to do to be legal to sell there. The radio frequency is legal. The modules are certified. We don't have emissions problems that would prevent it. It's just that CE also requires some EMI and susceptibility testing that we haven't performed. So we can't ship directly to the UK or continental Europe at the moment. They are available for the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, because those we have done all the paperwork and regulatory work for.
Cool. Another big question, is there any plans for a Steam version?
For us, no, we're probably not going to tackle that, but there is a group in Australia who is working on it. You can find out more about that on the MRH forums.
Yeah, and one of the lead guys, his name's Mark Stafford, and I've talked to Mark. He's a very enthusiastic Steam modeler. And yeah, log on to MRH, like Michael said, and look up Mark, and you can dialogue with him. They're working very hard to develop a Steam version.
Cool. So the big question is, how many have you sold if you didn't sell 6?
We're at 550 some right now. I don't
Wow.
remember the exact number.
So we're getting
How
we're
long
getting
is this? Hang on. And how long has this been on the market to be at 550 something?
What has it been? Year and a
Couple
half?
yeah.
Year and a half, I think.
Where's Lionel when you need him?
So how many do you think you're going to sell?
Yeah, Scott.
We're gonna sell 6 with a couple zeros on it on the end.
At least.
Cool. Okay, and then someone asked if parts break, do you sell them separately or?
Well, Michael and Nathan are the repair team, and so they do a very good job of repairing anything. We have a year warranty on each throttle, but if anything breaks, we're a small cottage industry. We all have day jobs. We do this because we love it and or enjoy it, and we'll take care of you.
Cool.
That's the best we can say. We've tried our best to help out all our customers top notch. Michael and Nathan, do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, there was a flaw with the brake handles on some of them where some units were susceptible to cracking. So we've done a ton of warranty returns on those. And, honestly, I don't care when you bought it. If you send it back to us, we'll get you fixed up and send it right out, no charge. It was our design flaw. We used a metal set screw with a sharp point on some of them, and it caused cracking that eventually would cause the brake handle to break. It gives me something to do while I'm quarantined in my house for months on end. Other than actually work on my layout, which that just can't happen.
You could have had that steam throttle done by now, and the Alco version.
Well, let me put it this way: we all 3 of us enjoy good customer service, so we don't want to give bad customer service. We want to be good customer service.
Okay, one more question. Is this thing pretty much plug and play? When I buy it, I just plug it in and it goes?
Depends on your DCC system. With NCE and lens, absolutely. You just plug in the receiver, turn the throttle on, and can start operating. The other receiver for Digitrax or JMRI requires a little configuration to tell it how to talk to the Wi-Fi network that it's connecting to. Typically, it isn't that difficult, but occasionally we'll run into some weird cases, and just contact us and we can step you through it.
And our groups.io forum is very active, and there are some really knowledgeable guys on the forum. And so if you become a member and you post a question, even a technical question, oftentimes one of the forum members will answer it before Michael and Nathan ever even see it. So join the group.
I was going to say, I will note that while getting the throttle to work is usually pretty easy, it does also require some investment in programming your decoders, because decoder manufacturers are targeting normal throttles, knob, a few function keys, that's it. The Proto Throttle uses standard DCC speed and functions, but to have a function assigned to the brake independently and set the brake rate such that it's prototypical requires some amount of programming. Independent headlights is something that every decoder manufacturer implements differently. So there is an investment in learning the decoders, learning the CVs, but like Scott mentioned, the group there is filled with users with all sorts of decoders and all sorts of knowledge, and they're usually very helpful about, hey, how do I program this decoder to do something?
Someone did ask, is the brake function part of the decoder or is it all in the throttle?
We depend upon the decoder for the brake functions, such that you can speed match a consist and get the brakes matched and everything else, rather than putting the physics into the throttle itself.
Okay, someone also asked, it looks quite big. Does it get uncomfortable after a long period?
No, and the vast majority of our users, virtually all of them, have said that it's comfortable to hold. It is a little larger than a typical throttle, but we've incorporated a device that comes with the package. It's called a love handle. It's basically a very nice cell phone strap that you can buy for your cell phone, but we use it on the Proto Throttle. And you can stick it on the back of the box in whatever position. Yeah, there, Michael's showing it. And you only need to put just past the first knuckle on one finger or two fingers like he's showing. And it allows you to hold the throttle very comfortably and securely. So that's an option.
And a light question on YouTube. Do you have recommended programming settings? I assume that's for the decoders.
Well, like it was mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we do have some examples online right now of how to program a certain locomotive, or at least a starting point. I have a few more we still need to write up, but and then also the groups IO list, like Scott said, is a great resource if you have a particular decoder or locomotive and you want some recommendations on how to configure it. That's a great place to go, and people are willing to share their settings.
And we do on the groups IO list, there's a file section within the menu where you can go and like myself and others have placed decoder settings in there, so you can download the file and reference those CVs and put them directly into your locomotive. You might have to tweak it a little bit, but it's a start.
Cool. So Nathan, if you could please go to YouTube. Andy is asking a whole bunch of specialized, take it all apart questions. So if you could answer those over there, because most of us don't really care about the ZigBee versus Z-Wave versus upside down. So, guys,
Sure, I'll go have a look here.
For an awesome clinic and an exciting technology, and the orders should be coming in as we speak.
We appreciate it, Speed. Thank you so much. And Gordy, thank you.
Yes, thank you. We much appreciate this.
No, thanks, guys. Don't disappear just yet. But we'll see everybody in when Gordy can actually manage to get the Australian computer to work. We'll see everybody again on July the 12th. For some reason, a horrible picture of Lionel has come up in shorts, which I guess is because Martin is awake and driving his computer against me. Oh, Martin. So we'll be back we'll be back on July the 12th with Gateway X soon. Keep tuned to all the NMRA social media channels. I promise the schedule will go out around the 1st of July for that. That'll be 7 days of this non-stop for 7 days. Well, we'll have a wee break, but 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night Eastern time. So that'll be great, and we'll have even more great content. Thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you if you're watching one of these clinics at a later date on YouTube. All the clinics will be available in a week's time on YouTube as 1 hour segments. And as we've said before, please go along to daylightsales.net and use your NMRAX discount code, which is NMRAX20, and get 10% off some of our great merch. But thanks, guys. We'll catch you all again for a future clinic, I'm sure.